definition. Now, there are many definitions of risk management and many people come with different versions of it. But according to PMI, risk management, the chance of a certain occurrence adversely affecting project objectives. And remember, in our earlier lectures, we said there are 4 pillars of project management, which is the core, objectives, which is time, cost, quality, and scope. And that, anything that affects that project objectives can be seen as a risk. Right. Risk identification. What do we do when we do risk identification? Risk identification focuses on assumptions about resources. Assumptions about resources. Also, it identifies factors that may have a detrimental effect on project objectives. In other words, technical people will come together, the project team will come together, people with the knowledge and the experience and all of that will come together, and they will have a look at detrimental factors which has happened to them in the past, which they will bring into this session that you have, and they will actually identify what effect that will have on the project at hand. So experienced project personnel is very important. Then risk note will be made. A risk note of what? Of everything that has been identified in terms of risk management. Qualitative risk analysis. What is qualitative risk analysis? There, you determine the extent of the impact on the project objectives. The extent of the impact. How is the impact? When you do a qualitative risk analysis, what are the impact on the project objectives? If I say impact, is the impact low? Is the impact medium? Or is the impact high? And you know something that's got a high impact, it's very bad. A low impact you can still live with, but you still need to manage it. So that is qualitative risk analysis. The extent of the impact on the project objectives. Quantitative risk analysis. Now you're looking at quantities now. Now you're quantifying the risk. Determine the probability of risk occurrence. When you quantify, you will make a probability study of how probable the likelihood of the risk to occur or happen. The likelihood, the probability. Is there a 10% probability? Is there a 20% probability? Is there a 30% or a 90% probability? And obviously, when you do a quantitative risk analysis study or exercise, if the probability of a high impact occurrence is high, then you have major problems on your project. If the occurrence is high, you're going to have to look at how you're going to manage it when it occurs. Risk response planning. Obviously, when a risk happens, you need to have a response to each and every risk. And there are 4 types of risk responses. You can either ignore the risk, you can avoid the risk, you can deflect the risk, or you can accept the risk. So you can imagine, from a risk response planning point of view, if you ignore that risk, imagine you ignore risks, you might get hurt from it. Your project might fail from it, and you might never deliver. So these are the 4 risk response planning techniques. When you deflect the risk, you deflect the risk to a third party. A third party. For instance, when you negotiate a fixed price contract, you actually deflecting the risk to a third party, which is the contractor. And when the prices of material go up, etc., during the contract period, you transferred or deflected that risk to the other party, and you don't carry that risk yourself. Risk monitoring and control.